Federal agents continue to search for the mother.
Yesterday, Wink News learned she owned a condo in Naples, or perhaps owns, and our cameras exclusively captured members of the FBI looking for her there.
Police identified the suspect's mother as Mary Grace Westman, who spent 5 years working as a secretary.
It reads in part, "I was corrupted by this world and have learned to hate what life is."
What's going on? This is Fugitive TV, and I am your host, Ray Marcel, where we took a look at cases, unsolved mysteries, and we look at it from my point of view because I was once a fugitive that was on the run from the law for about 15 years.
I grew up watching friends die, friends go to jail. I thought that would never be me, till the day I decided to pawn a TV that my friend gave me. That TV ended up being stolen. One thing led to another. Going in and out of jail, I escaped twice. I started one of the biggest crime rings in the state. 10 years it gave me. My 3-year-old son passed away during this process. I could not take it, so I went on the run for 15 years. Different countries, different names, I did it all. My life has been something you only read about in books, but this is nonfiction. This is me.
And I eventually turned myself in, changed my life around. I'm doing great now in life, but I give you a point of view that other people don't. And sometimes, you know, what we do is we break down these cases, we look at the facts, the fiction, all the lies, and we see what we can come up with. But today, we're going to talk about Robin Westman. Sorry, Robert Westman. Robin doesn't deserve the name to be called Robin because Robin was trans and changed his legal name from Robert to Robin. So I'm going to call him Robert. He doesn't deserve to be called what he wants to be called. But if you don't know the full story, I'm just going to give it to you real quick. Robert had a bunch of weapons, went to a church pretty much out in Minneapolis and locked the door when all these kids are praying and just let it go. Let the clips fly. And because of that, I believe it was 2 of the kids passed away. The rest are injured. Very cowardly, because I hate when people do this when people are not expecting. I mean, you don't expect for people to do that, right? But they always do it in areas where nobody else has a weapon. That's for one. They do it when people, you know, are very vulnerable. They were praying. You know, and it always happens that way. It's very cowardly. And then Robert ended up offing himself afterwards. Now I always say these people that do that, they already know they're going to off themselves, right? Why do they have to take other people with them? Why don't they just do it themselves? They always got to take somebody else with them. Anyway, there's a manifesto that I popped online. The manifesto is in a bunch of hidden code. YouTube keeps trying to take the videos down. Everybody who's posting it, I'm going to try and post it. Hopefully it stays up. I'm going to probably fast forward or do whatever I can to trick the algorithm so you guys can see it. But he posted a manifesto and he's hating on other ethnic groups. And he just had a lot of hate in him.
One of the videos starts with what appears to be a manifesto addressed to family and friends. It reads in part, "I was corrupted by this world and have learned to hate what life is. I'm tired of the pain this world gives out." It goes on to say, "I have wanted this for so long. I am not well. I am not right. I am a sad person haunted by these thoughts that do not go away. I know this is wrong, but I can't seem to stop myself."
And come to find out, that church, his mom worked at the church as a secretary, and she worked there for a while, and the mom retired from that church not a few years ago. And he also attended that place himself, graduated from him supposedly. So I am thinking that he probably got ridiculed a lot as a kid. If he was a kid growing up in a Catholic community, you know, I'm not saying the Catholic community is bad, but we both know they have a lot of standards. And especially if it's old school Catholic. So if you're a guy and you're in there and, you know, and you want to be trans, things like that, you're probably going to get ridiculed a lot, you know, or talked about a lot and made fun of a lot and maybe even bullied. Now, I'm not using that as an excuse, but it's probably could have where he got his anger from, maybe from his mom. Supposedly there's a stepdad or a dad, too, because his mom's divorced. Now, his mom graduated from there, right? So Robert is not a kid. Robert was 23 years old. Or sorry, his mom worked there, but Robert graduated from there. Robert's 23 years old. So Robert offed himself, so they really can't ask him any questions. So they're trying to talk to everybody they can. Robert's friends, people went to school with, and including his mother. Her name is Mary. Guess what? They go down to Florida, which I'm living here. They come down to Florida. She lives in Naples. They go to her condo. They knock on the door. She doesn't answer.
We're standing now in the parking lot close to where that mother's apartment is. Now, we didn't know if she was home today. We knocked on the door, no answer. We also see a car that is in the parking spot of where her apartment is. Now, that wasn't the only thing in this parking lot earlier. We watched as unmarked FBI cars showed up, parked in a spot, walked where I'm walking toward this mother's apartment, had approached this door dressed in normal clothing. We didn't know it was the FBI until they knocked on the door. Right here, Tanner, if you want to show, there's a fall sign on this door right here. They introduced themselves as the FBI, and as you mentioned exclusively, our cameras were rolling. Let's go ahead and take a look at this.
Supposedly she took off. They think she took off Wednesday. Now her car is still there, but they think she might have gone. I'm wondering if she's even, if she wasn't alive, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked.
Miss Westman, my name is Dave Christie. I'm with the FBI.
So that is what we saw. We watched as those agents walked up with clipboards in hand, knocked on the door, also tried to go to the back of the building as well, to no avail. No answer on the door on either side. Now, throughout the day, we have also seen a couple of deputy cars make their way through the neighborhood. No one else came out to check if she is home, and we're still working to find out where exactly that mother is located at this time.
If she did it to herself, I wouldn't be shocked. Let's say he did it. He went down there and did that before he came back up and did what he did. I wouldn't be shocked. But she's not answering the door. They don't know she left. Supposedly she got a criminal defense attorney. A lot of people are wondering why she got the attorney for. I'm thinking maybe it's to cover her own butt. She doesn't want to face the music. She doesn't want to do any of that. She's probably blaming herself. She's locked up in the hole. Who knows what she is feeling? Police identified the suspect's mother as Mary Grace Westman, who spent 5 years working as a secretary at the school. So she worked as a secretary. So he's very familiar with the school because his mom worked there. And she retired in 2021. She has provided such wonderful hospitality, friendship, and compassion to all who gathered for the last 5 years of Annunciation. You will be missed. Congratulations on your retirement, is what the church wrote. Robert L. Hellringer, Mary's Grace brother and a former Republican representative in the Kentucky General Assembly, described their family's strictly Catholic upbringing and multiple. Okay, so it's kind of making a little sense. If the family was strictly Catholic upbringing and Robert wanted to be known as Robin and wanted to be trans, he probably suffered a lot of scrutiny. Now, I'm not saying this as a lot in any way, shape, or form. This is an excuse. But it's probably what happened. He probably suffered a lot of scrutiny because of what, he wanted to be. And if we all know about the Catholic Church, they can be hard, so he probably couldn't be himself, which caused a lot of issues with him. Their mother would often host dinners with local priests. So priests were there all the time. Interesting. With local priests and routinely led prayers together before departing. Hellringer wrote in a Louisville Carrier Journal, noting how their lives were enriched by their company. So he wrote, noting how their lives were enriched by their company. Hellringer also served at the church their family belonged to growing up in Kentucky, according to articles. Now, I've been to Kentucky a couple of times. I'm pretty sure they're not as open-minded as they're, like, if you went to Florida. So people from Kentucky, you're dealing with priests and people of the church, and he wanted to change his name. In 2023, 3 years after Westman legally changed his name. So Westman legally changed the name from Robin to Robert. Hellringer condemned conservative Republicans' vendetta against the LGBTQ community. Sounds like this article almost is blaming Hellringer. New York Post. It sounds like it's blaming Hellringer. I believe New York Post is a Democratic newspaper. I'm not sure. You can quote. Don't quote me on that. You can look it up. But I believe this is a Democratic newspaper. This is contradictory. Look for pro-life Republican. So, yeah, they're kind of. This news article is kind of blaming the politics on what's going on because the deranged. Robert had a manifesto, right? Even his manifesto. It was a deleted YouTube video that says he's got to off, and he's basically talking about the president. And he says he's got to off all kind of stuff. And he wrote a lot of the twisted messages and code, wrote in Russian, things like that. Yeah, a lot of this is fluff. I don't know what the hell they're doing. A lot of this is just fluff, to be honest with you. Let's go to another article real quick. Let's see what Fox News. We know Fox is definitely not on the Democratic side, so we're going to see what they got to say. Church mother refuses to talk to the police, obtains criminal defense attorney. The mother of the who opened fire at the Catholic Mass Wednesday is not cooperating with investigators as they are determined or try to determine what led to the tragic events that led to, what happened. The mother, who is Mary Grace Westman, has retained a criminal defense attorney. Now, do you think she should have retained this attorney? I know you don't want to put yourself in her shoes. I know you don't, but put yourself in her shoes for a minute. Now, you didn't do this. You didn't go in there and cause all this mess, right? But would you retain an attorney? Now, from her point of view, probably, because we all saw what happened when that kid did the same thing. What school was that, in Iowa or something like that? Remember the parents got blamed for it? Remember that? Remember how the parents, they're locked up right now. The parents are. And that was because of the father purchased, what was used. Now, we don't know if the mother purchased what was used. That part we don't know. So far that I know, they said it was under Robert's name. Let's see here. So they interviewed all the relatives, friends, and associates, people who witnessed the carnage. We have not been successful in the mother. So everybody else that has cooperated, but the mother has not. The mother pretty much took off. It's not clear why she is not. I mean, we can only speculate, but think about it. Like I said, she doesn't want to be responsible. Not only that, she probably lost her, and she's probably blaming herself for what happened. I'm pretty sure, like I said, he was probably getting ridiculed a lot. And she's probably blaming herself right now. She's probably like, if I didn't do this and I didn't do that, I raised my to do this, and she's probably blaming herself. And on top of that, don't want to face what's going on. She was an employee of the place. Now, they're not telling you this, but I do know the Robert also graduated from that school. So he went to that school. They have not released a motive. Now, there was a video on YouTube. The video has been taken down because it's all under investigation. I'll see if I can find clips of that video to post it. Hopefully they don't take mine down. I might have to fast forward it or something like that, or put it in slow motion. Now, he also expressed hatred towards other ethnic groups of people and all kind of things, right?
Today's deadly Catholic school shooting in Minneapolis, there was a law enforcement presence at this condo in Naples. I'm your community correspondent, Mahmoud Bennett, and property records show the possible family ties to the suspected.
In this quiet neighborhood near Santa Barbara Boulevard and I-75, neighbors who spoke to me off camera say they saw several law enforcement officers knocking at this door. No one was home, but property records show the condo belongs to Mary Grace Westman, the named mother of the suspected Minneapolis Robin Westman, who police say killed and injured 17 other people on Wednesday.
Any that gets in any way, that loses their life, affects me deeply.
Father Michael Orsi is a renowned Catholic leader in Naples. He says this week's shooting was a direct attack on the Catholic faith.
All right, so I did find this video. Let's go ahead and take a look at this.
Online videos show notes in which a person discusses feelings of depression and a desire to carry out a mass shooting. Names of previous schools are scrawled on a rifle magazine, along with a series of erratic and wide-ranging political complaints. A law enforcement source confirmed to the media that the videos were posted on YouTube by the suspect in a shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic school. The videos have since been removed. Officials identified the attacker as Robin Westman, 23. Officials referred to the assailant as a male at news conferences. Court records show Westman's name was changed from Robert in 2020 on the grounds that Westman identified as female.
Yeah, so he had issues. Like I said, he had some issues going on. No excuse for what he did, though. No excuse. Very eerie and creepy. Very. But I'm pretty sure whatever she's feeling is not good. But she's pretty much on the run from, not on the run from the law per se, because there's no charges against her, but she's on the run from investigators asking her questions. She does not want to answer any questions. Now, as a criminal, that's the thing you do want to do. You don't want to answer no questions. You do want to go get an attorney. And I preach this all the time. If you've done something wrong or you're being blamed for doing something wrong, you do not want to talk, because anything you say can be used, and not can, it will be used against you. It will. So you don't want to say anything. So she's actually doing the right move. You can't fault her for that. But at the same time, it's like people need answers. They want answers. What happened with him as a kid? Now, they also interviewed some friends, or not a friend, but I should say a classmate. One classmate actually came out and said that when they were younger, there were red flags with him. He used to talk in code. He used to write in code, a Morse code or a cryptic thing, so other people couldn't understand what he was saying. And he used to hate on ethnic groups. She said he did have some heart in his or I should say some hate in his blood, or hate in his heart. But she was younger and didn't realize these red flags. But she says now that she looks back, there were signs from the get-go. And not only that, there's also records of him having mental breakdowns and the police going to where he lived at. So there's records of him having a mental breakdown already. So it comes into play. Is it really a mental breakdown, or is it not? Y'all let me know. Is it just crazy? Because there's such thing as crazy. Or is it a mental breakdown? Or is it a combination of both? What do you think? Now, Robert F. Kennedy, yes, Robert F. Kennedy, the same person that's, part of running the office right now, is doing an investigation on drugs that is used in, I should say, I guess you want to call it the trans community, some sort of drugs that they give them. He's actually wants to do an investigation, a study on those drugs to see if that can help with some of the way I guess you would think if you're on these drugs, which I mean can make sense. You cannot fault that, because even regular drugs, if you go out and smoke a regular drug right now, it's going to affect how you think, right? So he's trying to see if that could be a reason or a cause of what Robert did, what he did. Now, we all know the drugs didn't tell him to do it. He probably had, but did it trigger something? We don't know. One day we'll find out. But what do you think? Do you think the mom should turn and face the music and let us all know what the world wants to know? Hey, how was your son, and did he show signs of this? Or do you think she should just stay locked in it behind a door, not answer her phone, her door to anybody, and just live the rest of her life? What do you think she should do? But this is Fugitive TV. Make sure y'all stay tuned for the book, Ray of Redemption, RayMarcel.com. Please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. And on the next live, I'm going to try and get people calling in and videoing so you guys can voice your opinion and say what you got to say. This is Fugitive TV. We're out.